Hey, welcome back to Donald Kent Art. I just showed you my new promo, and that is for upcoming year 2023. I will be doing a massive year-long crowdfunding project at my YouTube here. um, it's a graphic novel project, and you'll be seeing more and more and more of that stuff. But I thought I would do a quick review of my interview in White People's Quarterly. This is volume 1, number 4. Actually, it's from spring 2021, and they asked me to do the cover art for front and back of this issue, which is a great honor. And you saw some of that featured in the promo video just a moment ago. So you know what? There's quite a lot of really, really good quality work that they put out at White People Press, whitepeoplepress.com. I strongly support them, and I hope that you do too. It's an interesting advertisement here for kosher certified app. Get that for your phone. There's just all kinds of good stuff on here. Whitedate.net. I mean, these are obviously the commercials, but the content is really, really positive. Very, very strong, good, white positive content. Interviewing all the important people in our sphere. This particular issue, I believe, is focused on the arts. And so you have amazing people like Skinless Frank from the UK, who does these extraordinary pieces, just dreamy and esoteric, very, very powerful work that he does. Yeah, there's a lot of great articles. Again, there's just so many amazing people in the white positive sphere putting out all kinds of amazing content. And White People Press is one of the great publishers rather, that puts this out. So get involved in that and support them. So let's take a quick look at the article interview that I did in here. What's inspired you to become an artist, and how has your style transformed along the way? For years, I used to tell people that anyone can be an artist, and if they put the work in, but I've come to realize that that's not entirely true. They can become a craftsman if they put in the work, but an artist in the purest sense of the word is a personality type. You don't decide to become an artist, rather the inverse. You decide to not be true to yourself or live another life where you follow the norms of society and strive for material security instead. For me, I become progressively anxious and depressed if I'm not engaged in some medium that channels artistic expression. At the same time, surrendering to the primal instinct of the artist's nature is self destructive. So the process requires some form of balance, and it's a big subject. But I always draw pictures during, let's say, I always drew pictures during childhood, even when other kids grew out of it. I came from a very musical family as well, and used music as another outlet where I can combine my poetry and song. I've started shooting a web series with a co-author. That unfortunately never came to pass. The web series, blah blah blah. How has my style transformed along the way? Well, learning Western traditional drawing skills is a quantum leap forward in terms of being able to make quality art and express my ideas better. I studied traditional Asian art in Japan and Taiwan for 5 years. So during that period, I was deeply into ink wash painting and combining traditional Eastern and Western styles and motifs. When I moved back from the Orient, inspired by superhero movies, I rekindled my love of comic book illustration. And I was lucky enough to find tutelage under a 35-year veteran of the industry. This taught me about architectural drawing, lighting, storytelling, choreography, and allowed me to become proficient at pen and ink. So in the comic book world, you don't just pencil something, you have to ink over it for the graphic quality. It's part of the entire uh, medium of comics. Inkers, by the way, I always say inkers are the bass players of comics. So you can think of it that way. And if you guys have any questions in the chat, shoot, I'm happy to chat with you. This is just kind of a fun, informal look at my interview in White People Quarterly. And also, there is a link in the show notes to White People Quarterly. So please subscribe, pick up a magazine or book that you like. I want to say a quick hello to Popcorn Power and Port Film Co-op. Great to have you guys in the stream. And like I said, feel free to ask any questions. And please share, of course, share this video, la la la. Additionally, I've done a lot of freelance graphic design and have been a certified art teacher for 15 years. Oh my God. So all of this has culminated in the work you can see in my portfolio at my site. Now, I've changed my site to Donald, sorry, I've changed my site to Kent dash art.weebly.com, kent-art.weebly, weebly.com. Style is like handwriting. You cannot change your signature. You can forge another person's signature, but we are all born with some kind of natural signature. This translates into one's visual art style, whether you like it or not. And I just say that because I would say almost every artist out there, every musician, author, somehow they want to be the people that they admire. You know, like, oh, I got into writing because I liked Hemingway, and so I try to make my voice sound like my topics, blah blah blah. Or I got into guitar because I like Jimi Hendrix, and so I kind of steal his riffs and da da da. But you can't not be you, and you should try to, in a sense, lean away from that and lean more into yourself. So this is just a point I'm making here. One of the hallmarks of my art style generally is that I keep it loose. That's actually a tricky question. I think there's a balance between the loose and tight stuff. I like to see the process of the medium, the nature of the watercolor or charcoal. It is, after all, a medium, so I prefer to let the nature of the art show through, like what is the natural quality, visceral quality of a watercolor, for example. Exactly. Who are the artists? The question here from the magazine. Who are the artists you have looked up to in the past, and are there any art movements or periods that you feel particularly drawn to or have influenced your work? As a kid, I was a comic. I was into comic book illustration, people like John Byrne, John Buscema, Mike Grell, Gil Kane, Dick Giordano, Mobius, Mike Mignola, Adam Hughes, Lee Weeks, Alex Maleev. This is specifically for comics. That doesn't refer to my other art influences. Within fine art, I've gone through phases of liking many different artists throughout my life. Paul Gauguin, Egon Schiele, Amedeo Modigliani, Max Klinger, Edward Hopper, Richard Diebenkorn, and it's kind of silly. It's like saying, "What's your favorite band?" And you can't really answer that. There's so many good bands, right? Presently, I'm a big fan of Skinless Frank. Hey, I just mentioned him earlier, and he's in this magazine. Flash Gorgon. Flash Gorgon is a really, really amazing French mm, meme artist, meme master. He does these animated GIFs. Uh, he's a brilliant guy, a close friend, and I think we need to have him on Americans, or rather on my YouTube show more often in the future. Okay, so in the white positive sphere and the art movement that resonates most with me are Romanticism, Pre-Raphaelitism, German Expressionism, and the Ashcan School, and the Symbolist movement. So again, it's a little silly. There's just a lot of influences, but I tend to be a sort of a romantic, though. So, what, in your opinion, is the state of the current white positive art scene? Ooh, what are our strengths? Where are we lacking? And what can we improve? There's a very, very good White Art Collective stream on this topic. It came out, I'd say, months ago, but Jeff Winston created a stream based on a post that I made, a question, what's the state of the movement, not the art movement, but the overall white positive movement? Is it just a social club? You can find that at the White Art Collective YouTube channel. They're probably on Odyssey as well. I highly recommend that. Anyway, back to here. So, your readers may already know that I host the Imperium Art Show. Anyone new to this channel, you can scroll around, look for the playlist, look for Imperium Art, and you'll see numerous examples, interviews. It's an academic documentation of the arts in the white positive sphere. Okay, or quote, the dissident right, if you will. Okay, so I host the show Imperium Art on my channel, which is an ongoing documentary showcase with the creators of the white positive movement, along with select philosophers and political analysts. To truly get a pulse on what is happening in our movement, readers must tune in weekly to meet the different musicians, poets. I've discontinued that show. I'm just kind of popping that out there. I may bring it back in the future. I feel like I've covered pretty much everybody that I don't know that I could that would respond and would come on the show. Maybe if there's more people that would like to come on the Imperium Art Show and share their thoughts on the arts in the dissident right. There's so many new artists coming in. It's amazing. I'm kind of overwhelmed actually at all the new people joining White Art Collective. It's extraordinary. So if you're not just because you're not plugged into that doesn't mean it's not happening, kind of thing. So try to get plugged in more with that stuff. And back to the article. Such as a truly pulse happening movement. It's very lively and diverse. That's what I was saying. Like all underground art scenes, it is in its raw and developmental stages, where there is no corporate sponsored style or focus, um, but a wide ranging banquet of inspired and passionate voices whose styles and mediums span nearly every genre and suit almost every taste. I coined the term Imperium art. Well, let me stop there for a second. So there's another new show that I'm going to be doing with Jay Ladark, one of our well-known and beloved graphic designer illustrators in the white positive movement. I'm going to kind of just leave that as a teaser. I won't go into detail about that, but it's been quite extraordinary seeing all the new artists coming in and that want to be involved in this. And so, and then there's another interesting topic of, you know, art in the white positive sphere, should it be propaganda or should it just be sort of art exclusively in some way? And so this is a big topic. A lot of people have very strong opinions about it. Um, as usual, I see things as a spectrum. I think that, they're all kind of like connected in a way. You can, if you're, let's say you're doing traditional, oh, I don't know, let's say you're making quilts and they have Irish symbols on them or something like that. And this is very folk art kind of thing. Is that white positive art? That's an interesting question. Well, that only depends on the context of what you're saying. If you're trying to preserve your culture consciously in the age of white genocide, white replacement, and you're putting it out there, it's in a sense a revolutionary act. That sounds kind of wild, but if it's not at all strange if you consider everything that's going on. So the audience is already savvy to that stuff. While Imperium art has no manifesto, its cornerstone is the belief that the purpose of white positive art is to save people of European descent and our civilization. Many branches may grow out of that root, but we should all work together to create a future where whites are safe and prosperous. The Imperium Art Project is my way of controlling our narrative against the insidious lies and propaganda of our enemies. Our creators' strength vary depending on the maturity of their craft and how cultivated their vision is. But our true strength lies in our community, our culture, and most of all, our purpose. The bond between creator and audience is powerful because we reciprocate a powerful energy, the Western biospirit, which comprises both the agony of living through the war on whites and the ecstasy of becoming who we are. Did I write that? Wow. So that's a beautiful moment, a kind of a bittersweet moment to think through, what it is that we're experiencing and how the arts are reflecting our struggle. Um, we're producing, sorry, what we are producing connects our ancient past with our long-term future. Since we are standing at the crossroads of history and developing a new history, with our music and art, I would not say we are lacking in any regard, but rather that there is much more room to grow. And so this is in terms of like what's the state of the movement, Um, it's not like an art movement in the sense that, let's say, the Impressionists, okay, photography comes along and painters say, okay, well, what's the point of trying to paint reality as it appears? How did that affect painting? And so they all, kind of had a singular sort of project that they worked on, so that crystallized that particular movement. Ours is quite, vast in terms of thinking of, from Australia to, Eastern Europe and, Canada. I mean, there's so many different kind of peoples involved and mediums involved. It's just profound. It's extraordinarily exciting, but you got to know about it and you got to be a part of it to enjoy it. And it's very invigorating. It brings back. We're very black pilled, and I feel like it's important that we have that sense of love for ourselves, a sense of hope, a sense of vision, and the arts do that. So, blah blah blah. Okay, there's a strong sense of family in the white positive art movement. And due to this, we may at times be too subjective or anxious to increase our ranks when it comes to bringing people in who are still learning to master their craft. So that part right there, as far as criticism, is that me personally, I feel that in order to kind of step out and present your work within this community, you have to have a certain level of skill, and it's not just a physical skill, but also a sense of identity and voice. And what is it that you're saying? How does it contribute or relate to this movement. That said, I'd like to see us somehow move beyond the archaeofuturist style that is ubiquitous in our movement. I don't say that because I believe it's lacking in some way, but because I feel the need to keep striving forward towards new styles and ideas, continue evolving, and further consolidate our worldview in order to eventually attain more control over our cultural narrative. So that's a lot to chew on right there. There's a lot to discuss. Just that alone, I think, would make a nice show, a big conversation. So in this section of the article here, you get to kind of see some of my comic book illustration. So here is more the fine art work. It's more surreal, kind of multi. I'm using different mediums, etc. Here it's a little more traditional superhero comic kind of look to it. By the way, this is on my site and also on Amazon. The Seraph comic is written by Mark uh, Brahman, and you can find it there. So Mark Brahman, look up Amazon The Seraph, and you can get an e book of this. This isn't in a physical like a book. It's something that you can see on your mobile device. Anyway, let's go on here. What do we got? Social Club isn't a bad start. I'm just reading Popcorn Power's comments here. Says a social club is not a bad start. That is the start of a community. I don't disagree. I think that's completely true and a very healthy thing. It's not a corporation. You know, I mean, I actually feel as if our movement should, you know, how do I put this? That it should be treated like a business in many ways, in terms of like, how are we acquiring funding? What is our goal? How do we, could we create management teams that lead propaganda teams or community development teams? You know, on and on and on. And I've always been really frustrated with the idea that we just kind of shitpost and just socialize. And I'm like, we have massive amounts of talent, intelligence, resources, and we're just kind of having fun behind the screen on Twitter or something, So resources this is a big discussion, but none of it would start if we didn't have that social element, that community element. So moving on, is it more important to push our art through mainstream channels to develop an independent scene of our own, or perhaps employ both tactics to some degree? So here I'm saying there is much disagreement on this topic. I lean towards mainstreaming our movement, but recognize the importance of protecting its vitality and authenticity, nurturing its roots so that it can continue to blossom and grow. I think there's another key point here to be extraordinarily cautious about infiltration. You know how that works. So I'll stop there. Moving on, I'm of the opinion that we need to put some distance between the comfort of our political echo chamber and make an effort to help other whites go free. Let me reread that. I'm of the opinion that we need to put some distance between the comfort of our political echo chamber and make an effort to help other whites go free. So that's kind of the political echo chamber is just the comfort of sitting behind a screen, whereas, I'm pushing the idea that, we need to white pill more people in every way, any way that we can, in any degree that we can. And I do it all the time in my own life. I want to welcome Colin Bruder. I'm sure, I hope, I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing your name there wrong, sir. Welcome from Cologne, Germany. It's great to have our German friends with us. I desperately want to visit Germany. Oh, so bad. That's another topic. So anyway, yeah, I think for me, these are my resources. These are my skills and abilities. They have impact. They're entertaining. It's sort of infotainment in a sense. I mean, I know that sounds a little cheesy, but and then you have things that are more on the kind of the fine art context, fine art level, more esoteric. Um, they appeal to maybe different aspects of culture, pop culture versus sort of like elite culture and etc. Anyway, moving on here. Let's see. Go for the arts are a great way to bridge connections and transmit the critical issues and talking points to other whites, especially those struggling to internalize the reality needed to break away from the anti-white influences that are so ubiquitous in mainstream culture and politics. So I always say that people know more about Star Wars than they do about real wars. That's it. That's, I mean, we've become that way as a culture. You see those, yeah, those little TikTok videos or whatever, people saying, "Hey, who's the first president of the United States?" And then they hand them the mic and they're like, "I don't know, Michael Jordan." They make these vapid statements. So, we have to use any means necessary to educate our people. So, Colin replied here, just write an email and you will be more than welcome. Oh, that's often or awesome. It's often awesome. There you go. See, my English isn't even very good. How am I going to learn German? All right, moving on. That's a great way. Okay, so yeah. Um, and then the magazine comments here. You are clearly one of the most involved figures in our new art scene, are associated with numerous projects and have big ambitions. Thank you. And that is true. And it's just getting bigger and better. Give us a rundown of your future plans and what you hope to accomplish in the long term. So, this was put out in 2021. It's the end of 2022. Merry Christmas, everybody, by the way. I wish you all a very happy Christmas. AJ Bell just jumped on the chat. Greetings from the wilds of Colorado. Really dig all your artwork, sir. Thank you so much. So I have to put it in the show notes, but kent-art.weebly.com is my new site. I'm going to be showing quite a lot of regular streaming of my art. So if you guys are into cozy comic streaming, we're going to have a really, really good year. So it'll be a nice decompression show, with all the black pills that are going on out there. So back to the question here, what's your future? So I'm sure that my goals have changed a bit, but let me just read these here. Add more interviews for the Imperium Art Show archives. Ha! I was just talking about that earlier. Um, it's not that it's wrapped up or like retired completely. It's it's at the Imperium Art documentation documentary, if you will, is sort of at a place where it's complete in and of itself. Times are changing, we're changing. I think probably going to need to come back to that in the future, and I would never think of coming back to that show without my dear friend and co-host Nullis Abnormocracy. You can check out his site abnormocracy.com, I believe it is. Um, it's just not the same. It's really our project. I can't. It's absurd to, imply that this is just me. It's on my channel. I kind of started the idea, but it's really a 50-50 kind of thing there. And he brings so much to it. So I'm not gonna continue on that. I want to do more non-art related interviews on American Zarathustra on my YouTube channel. So yeah, I really would like to get some more interviews going. I kind of miss the energy of what was going on, but I also feel very like there's so many shows out there right now that cover that. Joel Davis's show is extraordinary. The guy gives really great hot takes. Extremely, extremely intelligent dude. This got his heart in the right place. And like I just feel like it's very cutting edge, a lot of that. Of course, Tyler Hamilton, Keith Woods, Josh Neal, Jefferson Lee. Those guys are putting out great, great, great shows. I'd say that's kind of the go-to area, for me at least. Maybe there's some other shows. Um, I miss Marty Balo and Emily Yukas. They had a show quite a while ago that I was really enjoying with NJP. Anyway, but if you have recommendations or people that you'd like to have me to talk to on the show, again, I'm not just limited to the arts. I love any kind of topics. I've got shows on Noahide law, on spirituality, reincarnation, all kinds of stuff going on. But yeah, feel free to suggest anything if you can. So moving on, start a live show with drawing requests and live music. Oh, that would be pretty cool. Well, this graphic novel project I'm doing is so gargantuan and so enormous that that's going to take up most of my time. Yeah, and Colin is mentioning in the chat, Nullis does some great interviews too. I don't know what's the status of his poetry show, Conversations with the Wind. Those are epic, to say the least. I've been on several of them and co-hosted several of them. We'll see. Times are changing fast. You know, I think everybody is kind of streamlining and kind of tightening up on what they do, the resources they have, the time they have. We'll see where it goes. The show I was talking about, a drawing request, was the idea that I would, and maybe I should do this in my new streams. Say like, okay, send a donation for X amount of money, and then I will right now and before your eyes draw the thing that you want, and then of course I'll send it to you. So they're like tiny commissions. They would have to be smallish works of art that don't take a week or two to finish, right? It'd be something that I could, like a caricature of Jared Taylor, or I don't know, like a cool scene of some Deus Vult battle, or whatever, the things that that I can do that would fit in a show context. Anyway, and I have been writing more songs, but I haven't finished writing those songs, so we'll see where that goes. There's only so much time in the day. Tough to do all this with a full-time job. Create an Imperium art book with my co-host Gaius Nullis, published by the White People Press. That would be phenomenal if somehow we could transfer all of the do maybe a voice to text app or something where we play the show and the voice to text app types out everything that is said, and then like pop in some artworks throughout these interviews, and then put it all together in a book. Phenomenal. That'd be insane. The special edition from the White People's Quarterly, or not White People's Quarterly, White People Press. That'd be extraordinary. Again, time. It takes time to do these things. So finish a book called The Illustrated Speeches of Kai Moros. So I just published a 2-page comic book with Kai Moros. If you don't know who Kai Moros is, please look him up. Murros. There's speeches of his on YouTube. He's from Finland. He's kind of on a level of like Jonathan Bowden. He's a very, very hardcore, sort of little bit older generation gentleman who is really, really key in terms of the things that he says that Europe needs to do for its liberation. It's very spicy for most people, but he's the man. So, and also a dear friend. I love the guy to death. So I'm hoping to do more Kai Moros projects. I had this idea of illustrating his speeches. How cool would that be? So all I have to do is clone myself. I can have like 5 Donald Kents, and then send, okay, you do this one, you do that, you do that, you do that. Moving on, continue the ongoing comic book project. Well, it would be nice if Mark Brahman and I could finish this, but again, time, resources. Do more character designs for heathen Germanic traditionalist Dave Martell's upcoming role-playing game. I don't know if Dave finished that role-playing game, but I did do, and I don't have that copy like handy, unfortunately, but I illustrated one of the Bizarchives books. Sales have been going great. I get residuals from that every month. It's Christmas time. It'd be a great time to go to Bizarchives, thebizarchives.com, and check out his amazing catalog of books. Also, his shows, guys. Dave Martell is putting out really great YouTube shows. It turns out YouTube is sort of I don't know if it's shadow banning or what exactly that they're doing, but he's kind of not getting the traffic that he should be getting. He might be moving over to Odyssey, but I'm telling you, please go out and check out Dave Martell's Bizarchive shows on YouTube. All right, write and publish music with musician producer George Freud. So if you come to this site, you probably heard the song playing right off the bat. Someday is today. Very proud of that. Write and act in a web series. I have a really close friend who is a film student locally, and I'm kind of plugged in with the film community in my city. In terms of storyboarding and having actors available, et cetera, et cetera. The thing of it is that I'd have to show my face. So I don't know how that's going to work. But I've just always, comics are just film on paper. So I've always thought it really would be awesome if I could do some film work. Anyway, do more painting commissions, develop a series of Imperium Art books, get back to making web comics. So the comic stuff is really where I'm going. So, and you guys have already seen the Militia Man work that I've been putting out a little bit. I'm finishing up writing issue 5 right now. So, or I'm sorry, issue 6. So, 6 issues of writing, illustrating, inking, lettering, and coloring comics is gargantuan. And that's why I said it's going to take about a year. So, that's what it is. And I'm praying that you guys will support me financially. I'll be, figuring out some kind of reward system where I'll be able to send you, of course, you'd get a copy of the comic book, but also maybe some swag. People who donate higher amounts of money, I'll be able to give them the actual artwork, and I've got a lot of collectors actually, so it's time that I feed that community with more of my work. Here's another real quick look at another Militiaman promo piece that I'm putting out. 1776. Kind of see that the story is quite enormous and it has many subplots. I'm telling you, it's definitely got lots of Easter eggs for our people and our movement, but I'm trying to reach out to a much larger audience. Uh, One of the biggest problems of our movement is that we're I shouldn't call it a problem. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. We generally make art for ourselves. We're speaking to our own community. That's normal. It's good. It's fine. But I think, on a kind of an activist level and cultural level, we need to move out and beyond that. And I've kind of already stated that a couple times during the show. So you're going to see that this comic book series is going to do that. It has a Christian nationalist theme to it. Um, I'm not sort of, I don't know how to put this, but it's not a Christian nationalist book, but people who are Christians are going to love the book. There's, I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like Christians don't get any representation in film and TV and arts and etc. And yet it's one of the most deep parts of Western civilization. Now, there's also a pagan hero in this book. She's not depicted in any of the artwork that I've been doing recently, but I've actually spoken to some friends in Scandinavia and asked them about sort of the paganism or indigenous religions of Europe, etc. And I'm trying to do a fair representation of that as well, because it's a spectrum. Everything is right. We're in a sense a diverse people. But anyway, it's all gonna come together beautifully. It looks like we've got some spam in the chat there. I don't know what this find your love business is, but I once in a while get that. Anyway, find your love for your people. That's what you need to do, folks. Call now at 888 hot. Anyway, so that's some good stuff here. This, by the way, is an Apollonian superhero. How cool is that? So that this is so many cool things going on in the world. So yeah, this here is my interview with White People's Quarterly. Please check out their website, support them. They have they've got a lot going on. And so I just want to thank you guys for joining me here today. And please do share this, subscribe, and we will see you next time on the internets.